sure relate to the feeling. And it makes me a little more human. Like I said, there was times I did stuff that was less than humane, so it kind of helps me reconnect to, I don't know, I think the person I was supposed to be, in spite of what I've done. So.
Yeah, I think you shared a story with me about a therapist that you had told some of your story to, and they pushed their chair back.
Oh, as a gal, yeah. I was going to marriage counseling at the time, and my wife says, well, he's killed people. And she looked up and she said, what? He says, yeah, he's killed people before. And I was like, wow. And I mean, she just backed away. I mean, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to be sitting in the same room with a murderer. And I said, well, that's not exactly accurate. I have done those things, and it was a long time ago. And at that time, it was probably 20 years into my marriage. But I don't exhibit that behavior anymore, so I don't appreciate that judgment here. I mean, she just got wide-eyed and backed away. It's like, oh my God. And I'm thinking, so I shared a little bit about, that was during Vietnam, and it was appropriate at the time, or it felt like it. So, but, I think sharing stories and blackmailable information, I like to call it, bonds people. I mean, if I know something about you and you know something about me, then maybe there's a semblance of security that you're no better or no worse. I mean, you've done some things that you're not proud of. I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of, but I'm not going to be judged while I'm here. So yeah, there's a time to close up and there's a time to be open. And I think most people sense that. I mean, you can talk to people. I seem to attract kids and wounded people and dogs a lot of times. It's amazing. It's like, okay, I usually don't have a problem with any of those. I think there's a sense of connectivity with people, and ND really brings it out because people here are vulnerable. They're willing to discuss things or feel things or get in touch with things that the average person just superficially won't do. So, and it feels good. There's a connection. Like I say, there's a list at the end of each ND. There's a roster that you can call and connect with people. Maybe you connect with somebody at some level, an emotional level, or a spiritual level, or maybe even a work level, or military, what have you. And it's really heartening to have that. I've never gotten that anywhere else, and I've been in church groups and Boy Scouts, and you name it, different vet groups and bike groups and all kinds of stuff. And there is a power of a group, and there's the potential for love and acceptance in a group. But I pick and choose the groups that I do that with, and rightfully so. So yeah, you're right. There's a time to close your heart, and there's a time to open your heart. And I think most people have an innate sense when to do that. But it really feels good when you can let people know who you are, and they hug you and accept you when you're done. And the one thing here, and the only other place I've ever gotten that was military fire teams. Is when you're done, there's a hug, there's like an acceptance. I'm okay and you're okay, and whatever you've done is what you've done, and you're okay. You're still cared for.
The thing I'm hearing too is that a lot of guys have experience with feeling really alone, and they get separated and don't have anybody to talk to. And I see you consciously going toward making yourself available, joining groups, being involved. Something magical about the connection there, it seems like.
Well, most of the time, most of us, my recollection of it was, at least you're on a fire team or a weapons team, and so you have a connection with people that are literally closer than your own family. I mean, you've done stuff with those people and participated in events that not too many people would do. I mean, I've never felt so significant in my life as when I was hunting men that could hunt me back. And so when I'd come home, that everybody disperses, you come back to what we call the world, which is the United States. They all go to their individual towns and
Yeah.
cities and start living their lives. So there's a real sense of abandonment for me, aloneness. And I think that's one of the reasons I try to connect at the VA to not necessarily look up those guys, but guys like them. And they're all bitter and angry. I mean, we're not, I mean, I come home and it was not a good time when I came home. I wasn't accepted, and I wasn't welcomed, and it wasn't, there was no ticker tape parades for us. You know, I got a lot of animosity. I grew my hair out as quick as I could. I got rid of my uniforms, and people would say, "Where you been?" I'd say, "Well, here and there." I mean, I used to lie about where I've been.
Ouch.
To get reconnected with people who at least accept you. They don't necessarily have to be vets. It is a really good feeling, yeah. Like I say, everybody's experienced some kind of trauma or drama or, you know, childhood. I mean, you know, I didn't have the most pleasant childhood, so I decided that that set me up so that I could be a good combat soldier and that I could get home. Didn't, you know, change the picture. The folks did what they knew how to do. They did the best they could do, good, bad, or otherwise. And it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Come here and get reconnected with people and make it any way I want to now. I'm real appreciative of everybody that's here and what you've done and how you've allowed me to do that and not feel judged and not, you know, it feels really good. Like I say, everything in here ends in hugs. And boy, that feels really good. Like I say, you do that after a fire mission and you know, guys that almost high-five because we survived. And didn't dwell on it, just kind of hugged and went on our way. So here it's neat to stay connected. I mean, people are doing that, I think, more and more now, and especially with the internet. They're finding each other, Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is goes on out there. And yeah, it's a really good, powerful thing. And I think if, you know, if we could get enough guys here, and guys, you know, those that ever watch this DVD, if you'll be willing to risk. And, you know, again, I wouldn't ask you to do something I haven't done. And I won't tell you it's easy. It's kind of like boot camp without some guy chewing on your ass. And it's really productive, and it sets you up for a better life, you know, an easier life, production, and, you know, I think most people are looking for the purpose if they haven't truly found it yet. And one of them is, I think, is just to find your joy, you know, to be happy, you know. And I think I came back and I had the belief system that I didn't deserve to have joy. You know, I'd done too much and created too much, literally too much carnage to ever be worthy of that, to deserve that. So
Wow.
it's kind of nice to know that you know, we get welcomed home again. So for any vets out there, any civilians that watch this, if you would, when you see a vet or you know a vet or you see somebody in their in the uniform, just tell them welcome home or thank you for your service. It means a lot. I don't care what your political affiliation is or how you feel about war or combat, or, you know, those guys are kind of caught up in it. So it's not about what they, you know, picking sides about. It's more about they're doing something they feel is necessary for this country. You know? So try not to shoot the messenger because you don't like the message, I guess. A little cliche.
Good point. Well, we do appreciate all you've done. We do appreciate all you do still.
Thank you.
You have a neat way of putting things and it seems real clear. I appreciate too that how much you've been through and tried all different things, and that I respect your opinion in that you have done all these other things and not just talking from the book or whatever. Just you've been there, done that, and found something that works for you.
And I appreciate you guys for having something that actually works.
Yeah.
Say, I
Trying.
don't want to put such a huge condemnation on the VA. Perhaps they're doing better now, but I sure didn't experience it, and I'm reluctant to go back there. I know it works now, and I've got a support system, and I like I say, I really encourage anybody that's watching this to give us a try. I mean, it's a weekend out of your life. You know, what could it hurt? I mean, the emotional pain isn't terminal, and again, I wouldn't ask you to do anything. You want to talk to me, I'll make my number and my address available, and I can talk to you face to face or on the phone, or kind of in a chat, and I'll tell you my story, and you can decide if it's plausible enough for you to be encouraged to come and try it.
Well, my personal opinion is that the VA is trying. They are trying. They're throwing a lot of money at it and a ton of resources, and at the very highest level, they're really trying. And my fantasy is that we might be able to make some kind of impact and to help them get better results just by shifting a little bit, because you know they're doing a lot of they're close. I think getting closer.
You know what I think, and this is, you know, my recollection is that even in the military, the Viet Cong probably proved it more than anybody else. We finally broke into teams. You know, you can have a big bureaucratic division worth of stuff going on and lose. You know, Hamburger Hill had to be one of the worst. You can take a small force and do it correctly. And the ME&D's kind of like that. It's like a fire team. It's much more effective than using a whole battalion throwing artillery at something. You know, and I'm sure, you know, it's effective at times, but my recollection is we had our ass handed to us by a country smaller than California, so you know, bigger and badder doesn't necessarily make it. I think it takes individual get down ND style to get it done. And, you know, and no, this is not a paid endorsement.
ND style, I like it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Welcome home.
Well, that went on forever, huh?
Let's go.
Well, good
Got a lot to
stuff.
say.
It wasn't exactly like
What?
I figured it'd go.
Turn it off. Matt, turn this one off.
Okay.
Thank you. You gave me a good idea.
Somebody's playing the birthday.
Yeah,
Hey,
I didn't
Karen.
talk about it.
Oh, Karen, I have you back.
Yeah.